Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to be looking at some of the reasons why narcissists may hate schizoids, and there's quite a few of them. The main overarching reason is because schizoids have the potential to cause narcissists the highest amount of narcissistic injury, and this is because of the way that we function differently from them and also differently from normal people, which puts a narcissist in a inferior position when dealing with us compared to when they target and predator normal people. And by inferior position, I don't mean that they're like beneath us in a hierarchical sense, but they don't have so much of their usual power, prowess and control that they may have when dealing with certain normal people. Everyone knows, more or less, who knows anything about narcissistic personality disorder, that narcissists thrive on admiration. They're dependent on people for feedback and supply. So what this means is they are very needy of people, not so much in an emotional sense, but because they thrive on praise and admiration. And so this is something that they can't get alone and they need to get from other people. Because schizoids function so differently from them and from normal people, the narcissist isn't going to get the level of supply that they want from us, and as I mentioned before, are more prone to narcissistic injury, and I'm going to go through the reasons why this is. The amount of narcissistic injury that we cause is going to depend on our relationship to the narcissist. For example, some of us have had narcissistic parents, or maybe certain other narcissistic family members. So we've had the opportunity to study the narcissistic patterns, and we're often a lot more acute at spotting when someone is displaying narcissistic traits. Now there's two main types of narcissists. There's the overt narcissist, who will openly brag, boast, show status, and want to seem higher up and above other people due to their perceived higher status. The status could come from mixing with people in higher positions, or just pretending that they know and mix with people in high positions. So basically they want to seem like they're high up in the social ladder. With the covert narcissist, their style is quite different. They can often come across as quite vulnerable, needy. They often play the victim role, and they tend to need to be perceived as being more of a victim than other people. Their supply is going to come from other people's empathy, other people feeling sorry for them, whereas with the overt narcissist, their supply will come from people looking up to them. The covert schizoid also wants admiration and praise like the overt schizoid, but the overt narcissist. But each of these two different types of narcissists go about getting their supply in different ways. So what happens with the schizoid? Well, one main thing is that schizoids aren't going to give the narcissist the admiration and praise that they are looking for. They tend to want to impress people, and we tend to be generally not really easily impressed, if at all, by things that are going on in our external world, especially related to other people's achievements, accomplishments. All that kind of stuff doesn't usually mean anything to us. So if they're coming with a bragging, boasting angle, it's not really gonna get us on board looking up to them or thinking that there's something special as a consequence of that. And when you look at the covert narcissist, what we see there is trying to make people feel sorry for them. I would say that schizoids tend to have good cognitive empathy more often than affective empathy. However, from my personal point of view anyway, I'm not really going to feel a lot of empathy for someone unless I genuinely can see that they are a victim of some sort of injustice which is outside of their control. Sometimes a narcissist might try to portray that image. However, a lot of times there's nothing really to correlate or validate that. Sometimes they'll play the part of being a victim as a consequence of their naivety. They might make out like, oh, I didn't realize that this person was bad and I was being really nice to them. So narcissists can act like they're very empathetic and they've gone out and been empathetic to other people and then ended up becoming a victim of that. For me personally, I would gauge that situation as a learning experience, but not something that I would particularly feel sorry for the person, because as somebody who is naturally distrusting myself and very sort of scrutinizing of people, I would say that if someone falls short of that, then I just see that as something that they need to work on, but not necessarily something that I would then, show a lot of empathy towards that person. However, if someone got their house broken into and it wasn't their fault and they got all their possessions stolen, I could feel more empathy for that person, knowing that there wasn't anything within their control that they could do to change that. So my judgment, when I have empathy and when I don't have empathy, it's gonna really be situationally dependent. However, I found that with the narcissist, the sort of things that they try to get empathy for is not the sort of things that I would genuinely feel empathy for. And that comes down to another point of why schizoids could potentially cause narcissistic injury, is because we don't emote in the same way that normal people do. And for narcissists, a lot of the time, they play on people's emotions and they are getting supply from people's emotional responses. So when the schizoid doesn't give the emotional response that the narcissist wants, the narcissist could see this as a personal rejection or a personal slight, and they could take this in a way that causes them pain because they feel like this could be some sort of rejection because you're not emoting towards them in the way that they want you to. Another thing, for example, that narcissists do is love bombing, and that's not going to go down well with a schizoid. I cannot think of anything really more repulsive than somebody love bombing me. I don't like strong displays of emotions, and I don't really like strong emotions being directed towards me. This is where schizoids differ from normal people. The love bombing works for the narcissist when dealing with normal people. I'm not saying every single normal person. Some normal people, they understand narcissists, they know the signs, they know the clues too. But in general, why the narcissists do this is because it works. So when they're love bombing, they can make people feel flattered, they can make them feel good inside, they can make someone feel special. Because they're schizoid, because we are indifferent to praise and criticism, if they're coming with a love bombing strategy, it's you're not really going to be moved by that. So that form of manipulation isn't going to work with us. When the narcissist doesn't get their own way, it hurts. So that's another example of why that causes narcissistic injury. With schizoid individuals, we do tend to have narcissistic traits, but it's very different from narcissistic personality disorder. Our narcissism is more about being self-contained, prioritizing our own thoughts and ideas over other people so that we can maintain autonomy. It's about, there is some superiority involved, but it's not the sort of superiority where we think we're better than other people, but just better at being sort of like more self-contained, that, you know, we're good within ourselves, that we've got our own back, that we can manage things, life with self-sufficiency. And basically it's more like geared towards feeling good or validated by ourselves, by our own self-containment and our lack of need of other people. So it's a very different thing, and it can come across sometimes as like arrogant. And with the narcissist, they don't really like people that are self-contained, because they need to feel that they can have an impact on other people, that they can make some kind of impression, that they can be valued as a person. With schizoids, we are not going to value them in the way that certain other people can if they are benefiting from the narcissistic tactics employed. So for example, if someone's hanging out with them and really liking the fact that this person is high status, or they say that they're high status, then they're going to value the narcissist. Or if this person, like if the narcissist has been really nice to them because they want to get niceness back in return, then they get into this exchange where they value each other's compliments and so forth. So there's a lot more value for narcissists to gain from people that have emotionally reciprocal than people who are not. I think really because of our defenses, schizoids are fairly narcissistic proof. I mean, there's always a possibility that a situation could occur, especially if we're young, or I can't really think of one specifically where somehow we could, and then they get drawn to like be forced to interact with the narcissist. It could be through work, or as I said, through family connection or something like that. But all in all, we are not going to be very complimentary to the narcissist as people who have more normal emotional functioning, normal emotional expression, people who adhere to society values, because a narcissist plays on society values, and that is a lot of how they get in with people, because they know how people in general society are supposed to react and respond as a consequence of social programming, and they use that to their advantage to deceive people into thinking that they're on the same page as them, when really a lot of times they're not. They're very much more predatorial, and the reason why is because they're supply seeking and they have to go out and mingle with other people in order to get that supply. A bit like a vampire, but not the same thing. Yeah, and another aspect is that because schizoids don't like being controlled, and we can be quite sensitive to manipulation, so I think the red flags could go off a bit quicker for us than people who are more into give and take sort of relationships. And we'll be like, okay, well, you can control me a bit, I'll control you a bit, and we'll take turns, and we'll have like some kind of a two-way exchange where I get what I want, you get what you want. Yeah, I think the narcissist could really go to hate the schizoid. I mean, we might not spend enough time with them for that to happen, But the hate comes from the hurt, the failure to manipulate, the not being looked up to, the not being praised, the not being easily manipulated, and just basically just not giving the responses that they want. So that was the video, just a brief coverage. There's a lot more sort of in-depth to this dynamic. I just wanted to share like some of my thoughts on why narcissists can hate schizoids. And yeah, I hope you found that informative, and some of you may be able to relate to this if you've had experiences with schizoid. I'll be interested to hear like your views or takes on that. But either way, thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.